Welcome back to Talk About It in English, where we build the exact sentences you need for real life. Today, we are going to build a survival checklist for the most dangerous 15 seconds of your entire work week. It is Monday morning, 8:45. You are pouring your coffee, still half awake, when a coworker suddenly appears at your elbow and says, "Hey, good weekend?" Instantly, your brain freezes in pure panic. You wonder what the past tense of bye is. You wonder if saying you just slept is too boring, and you end up just saying, "Yes, I sleep," and the conversation dies.
I used to dread Mondays just because of this exact question, and I would literally wait in the bathroom stall until the office kitchen was empty because my English felt too slow for morning small talk.
You do not need exciting weekend plans to sound fluent, because today you are getting the 3-step Monday morning formula to answer naturally, sound confident, and keep the conversation moving.
That feeling of freezing at the coffee machine is something every single adult language learner knows intimately. It is not even about the vocabulary. You know the words for sleep, eat, and watch television. The problem is the social pressure. The lights are bright, you're just trying to get your caffeine, and suddenly you're put on the spot. You feel like you're taking an oral exam.
Exactly. When you feel like you're taking a test, your brain immediately searches for textbook answers. You think you need to provide a chronological report of your activities. You think you need to say, "First, I woke up at 8 o'clock, then I ate toast, then I went to the supermarket to purchase milk, and finally I watched a film." But native speakers never talk like that. When a native speaker asks about your weekend, they are not asking for a documentary of your life. They're just trying to build a tiny social bridge before the workday begins.
That was my biggest misunderstanding when I started working in office. I thought they actually wanted to know the deep details of my Saturday. I was stressed out on Sunday evening, literally trying to memorize a list of things I did so I could report them to my manager on Monday. I thought if I just said I stayed home, they would think I was a boring person or that my English was too basic to explain my real life.
That right there is the core of the problem. We try to be interesting, and because we try to be interesting, we use complicated grammar, we make mistakes, we panic, and we end up sounding robotic. The beautiful truth about everyday conversational English is that boring is perfectly fine. In fact, downplaying your weekend is the most natural, native-sounding thing you can do. And that brings us to step 1 of our Monday morning survival checklist, which is the downplayer opening.
The down player opening. This completely changed how I handle small talk. Instead of searching for something amazing to say, you start by lowering the expectations. You start by making things sound completely ordinary.
Exactly. The phrase we're going to master right now is nothing special, mostly just caught up on some sleep. Let's break that down because there is so much natural magic happening in this one sentence. Starting with nothing special is your safety blanket. It immediately takes the pressure off. It tells the other person, don't expect a crazy story. It buys your brain a crucial second to relax.
It's so much better than saying, my weekend was good. When you say, my weekend was good, the other person is waiting for you to tell them why it was good. They're waiting for the story. When you say nothing special, you close that expectation immediately. You're safe.
Now let's look at the second half of that phrase, mostly just caught up on some sleep. Why do we say caught up on? In textbook English, you might want to say, I slept a lot because I was tired, but native speakers love the phrasal verb to catch up on. We use it when we are behind on something and we need to do it to get back to normal. You can catch up on emails, you can catch up on laundry, and you can absolutely catch up on sleep.
And notice how Lily says it. She doesn't pronounce every single word perfectly separately. She doesn't say caught up on some sleep. If you say it like that, you sound like a robot.
That's a great point, James. Real fluency happens when words connect and flow together. Let's look at the linking here. The T at the end of caught connects directly to the U at the start of up, and the P in up connects right to the O in on. So instead of caught up on, it sounds like caught upon. caught up on. Listen to the rhythm, mostly just caught up on some sleep.
Let's practice that right now. Wherever you are sitting or walking, I want you to say this out loud. Don't just think it in your head. You have to train your mouth muscles to make these connections. I'm going to say it slowly, and I want you to repeat it right after me. Try to match my exact rhythm. Nothing special, mostly just caught up on some sleep.
Let's try it one more time, a little bit faster, exactly how you would say it by the coffee machine. Nothing special, mostly just caught up on some sleep.
Perfect. And you do not only have to use this for sleep, you can use this exact same down player structure for chores or television. You could say, nothing special, mostly just caught up on some chores around the house. Or, nothing special, mostly just caught up on some Netflix. The structure is your best friend. It is reliable, it is polite, and it completely removes the pressure to be an exciting, fascinating person at 8 in the morning.
Now, you could stop there. But if you only say nothing special, the conversation might feel a little bit too short. It might feel like you are trying to escape the person. To sound truly fluent and friendly, you need to add one tiny detail to show that you are participating in the conversation. This brings us to step 2 of our checklist, the detail pivot, using the magic phrase, I ended up.
I love the phrase, I ended up. Before I learned this, my details always sounded like a police report. If I wanted to add a detail, I would say, on Saturday I went to the shopping mall, I bought a shirt, I ate a sandwich. It was incredibly stiff. I felt like a child reading from a diary.
That happens because beginners rely heavily on the simple past tense in a chronological sequence. First I did this, then I did that. Native speakers avoid this by picking just one random, specific detail from the weekend and introducing it with the phrase, I ended up. For example, instead of saying, I went to the park, you say, I ended up going to the park for a bit.
Why does adding ended up make it sound so much better? It does not change the meaning of the action. You still went to the park, but it completely changes the feeling of the sentence.
It changes the feeling because ended up implies spontaneity. It implies that you did not have a strict military schedule for your weekend. It sounds like life just happened to you, which is exactly how native speakers talk about their free time. Even if you planned to go to the park for 3 weeks, saying I ended up going to the park makes it sound casual, relaxed, and conversational.
It is a brilliant trick. It makes boring things sound like a natural story. Let us look at the grammar really quickly, because it is wonderfully simple once you get the hang of it. After you say, I ended up, you just use the ing form of whatever verb you did. I ended up reading. I ended up cleaning. I ended up visiting a friend.
Exactly. Let us practice building this detail pivot. Imagine your coworker just asked about your weekend. You gave them your down player opening. You said, nothing special, mostly just caught up on some sleep. Now you pivot and you say, but I ended up trying that new Italian place down the street. Notice the word but. It acts as a bridge. Nothing special, but I ended up trying that new Italian place down the street.
The rhythm of ended up is another place where beginners often stumble because they pronounce the D too strongly. They say ended up. But listen to how Lily said it. The second D pushes right into the U. It sounds like ended up, ended up.
Yes, the linking is crucial for sounding relaxed. If you overpronounce every consonant, you sound nervous. Let's shadow this together. We'll start with a very common weekend activity, watching movies. I want you to say, I ended up watching some movies on Sunday. Ready? I ended up watching some movies on Sunday.
Let us try another one. Let us say you just stayed home and relaxed. Do not say, I stayed home. Say, I ended up just staying in. Let us shadow that. I ended up just staying in.
Beautiful. Now let us look at what we have built so far. We have our down player and we have our detail pivot. Let's stick them together. Hey James, good weekend?
Nothing special, mostly just caught up on some sleep, but I ended up watching a few movies on Sunday.
Notice how incredibly natural that sounds. James did not climb Mount Everest, he did not go skydiving, he slept and he watched movies. But because he used the down player and the detail pivot, his English sounds sophisticated, native-like, and totally appropriate for the office kitchen. He sounds like a local.
And the best part is, my heart rate did not go up. I did not have to search for vocabulary. I just dropped my actual life into the formula. But Lily, what happens if I actually did have an amazing weekend? What if I went to Paris for a romantic getaway? Does the formula still work, or do I have to throw it away?
That is an excellent question. The beautiful thing about this framework is that it scales to fit any situation. If you had a wild, exciting weekend, you skip the down player, but you still use the detail pivot to avoid sounding like you're bragging or giving a presentation. Instead of nothing special, you might just say, "It was great, actually." And then you pivot with, "We ended up taking a quick trip to Paris."
That is so much smoother than saying, "My weekend was excellent. I went to Paris. I saw the Eiffel Tower. I ate a croissant." By saying, "We ended up taking a quick trip to Paris," you sound humble. You sound like traveling to France is just a casual, normal thing that happens. It keeps the conversational tone perfectly balanced.
If you are enjoying this breakdown and want to stop freezing in these everyday moments, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now so you never miss a lesson on real-life spoken English.
So, we have survived the initial question, we have downplayed our weekend, and we have offered a casual detail. Are we safe now? Can we take our coffee and walk back to our desk?
Not quite yet. If you stop talking right after you give your detail, you leave a massive, awkward silence in the air. Your coworker will just stand there, nodding, and you will both feel uncomfortable. The biggest secret to small talk is realizing that the spotlight does not belong on you. You have to pass the ball back.
And that brings us to the final step of our checklist, the bounce back habit. This was my ultimate fatal flaw when I first started learning. I would give a really good, grammatically correct answer. I would be so proud of myself for using the right past tense verb, and then I would just stare at my colleague, waiting for my prize. And they would look at me, and I would look at them, and it was agonizing. I did not realize that a conversation is a tennis match. You have to hit the ball back over the net.
Exactly. The burden of the conversation does not rest solely on you. The moment you ask a question back, you are completely safe. Your turn is over, the pressure is gone, and now you just get to listen. But beginners often use very clunky ways to pass the ball back. They will say, "And you?" Or they will say, "What did you do this weekend?"
Saying "and you" always feels a little bit aggressive to me. It is too short. It feels like you are defending yourself. And asking "what did you do this weekend" is fine, but it sounds a bit like an interview question from a textbook. We want to sound like colleagues chatting over coffee.
To sound completely natural, we are going to use the phrase, "How about you? Did you get up to much?" This is the absolute gold standard for bouncing the conversation back. Let us break it into two parts. First, how about you? This is the universal conversational pivot. It's soft, it's friendly, and it gently shifts the focus away from your life.
And then the second part is pure native speaker magic. Did you get up to much? If you look at this in a dictionary, it might seem confusing. What does get up to mean? Are we climbing stairs? Are we standing up? But native speakers use the phrasal verb get up to all the time when talking about activities or plans. It basically means, did you do anything interesting?
It's such a useful phrase, and the reason it works so beautifully here is because it is a closed question. You're not demanding a long story from them. You're just giving them the opportunity to share if they want to. If they had a boring weekend, they can easily say, "No, not much." If they had a great weekend, they can tell you all about it. You have given them the choice, which makes you a fantastic conversationalist.
Let us look closely at the pronunciation, because if you say every word clearly, it sounds terrible. You do not want to say, "Did you get up too much?" That sounds like a police interrogation. You want it to flow like water.
Absolutely. The did ya blends together into a single sound. It becomes dia, or even just d. And the get up to links together heavily. The T in get connects to the U in up. Get up to. Get up to. So the whole phrase sounds more like, Do you get up too much?
Let us practice the shadowing for this bounce back, because the intonation here is critical. Your voice needs to rise at the very end of the sentence on the word much. That rising pitch is the signal to the other person that it is officially their turn to speak. If your pitch goes down, it sounds like a statement, and they might not answer. Listen to me and repeat. How about you? Did you get up too much?
Let us try it again. Imagine you are smiling, holding your coffee mug, completely relaxed. Your turn is over and you are happily passing the ball. Shadow me. How about you? Did you get up too much?
Brilliant. You now have the complete three-step formula. You have the down player to buy time and lower expectations. You have the detail pivot to show you're engaged without listing your whole schedule. And you have the bounce back to pass the pressure on to the other person. You are fully equipped.
Now we need to put it all together into a simulation. Knowing the formula in your head is useless if your mouth refuses to say the words when the pressure is on. Muscle memory is what saves you when you panic. We're going to run a shadowing exercise right now. We'll do it in 3 stages. First, we'll go slowly so you can feel the grammar. Then we'll do it at a medium pace. And finally, we'll run it at full, real-life coffee machine speed.
I will play the role of the chatty coworker who ambushes you on Monday morning. Lily will play the role of you, the learner. I want you to speak at the exact same time as Lily. Do not wait for her to finish. Try to match her voice, her pacing, and her tone perfectly. Speak over her.
Let us start with the slow walkthrough. Pay attention to the linking words we practiced. Ready, James? Hit me with the Monday morning ambush.
Hey, good weekend?
Nothing special, mostly just caught up on some sleep. But I ended up watching a few movies on Sunday. How about you? Did you get up too much?
Great. Now let us talk about the physical reality of this moment. When you do this, you do not have to stare directly into the person's eyes the entire time without blinking. You are allowed to look at your coffee, take a deep breath, or stir your drink. Those physical actions give your brain an extra half second to load the formula. Let's try the medium pace. Add a little bit of casual body language if you can. Ready? Hey, good weekend?
Nothing special, mostly just caught up on some sleep. But I ended up watching a few movies on Sunday. How about you? Did you get up too much?
Excellent. Notice how the "but I ended up" acts as the perfect hinge. It connects the boring truth of sleeping with the specific detail of the movies. Now, we're going to do the final simulation. This is full speed. This is exactly what you will hear on Monday morning at 8:45. Do not panic, just trust the formula. Shadow Lily one last time. Hey, good weekend?
Nothing special, mostly just caught up on some sleep. But I ended up watching a few movies on Sunday. How about you? Did you get up too much?
If you can master that 15-second flow, you will never have to hide in the office bathroom again. I promise you, having this one single script memorized will lower your anxiety about Monday mornings by 90%. You don't need to invent new grammar every time someone talks to you. You just need a system.
And the beauty of this system is its flexibility. You can swap out the details forever, and the structure never breaks. Next week, you can say, nothing special, mostly just caught up on chores, but I ended up trying that new bakery downtown. How about you? Did you get up too much? The week after that, you can say, nothing special, mostly just caught up on some work, but I ended up taking the dog for a really long walk. How about you? Did you get up too much?
It is literally an endless conversational loop. You give them a tiny piece of your life, wrapped in perfect native-like phrasing, and then you invite them to take the stage. It's polite, it's professional, and it's incredibly impressive to native speakers because it shows emotional intelligence in a second language, which is the ultimate goal.
Exactly. It shows that you understand the unwritten rules of social English. You're not a textbook machine dispensing facts. You're a coworker participating in a shared morning ritual. This is how you build real relationships at work, not just by having perfect vocabulary, but by knowing how to navigate the rhythm of small talk.
So, your challenge for today is to make this formula your own. Don't just use our examples, look at your actual life. Before you close this video, write down your own personal 3-part weekend formula using your real details. Figure out your down player, choose one simple detail for your ended up pivot, and write out the bounce back.
And then practice saying it out loud 3 times right now. Say it while you're making dinner. Say it in the shower. Say it until it lives in your mouth, not just in your notebook. Next time you want to build vocabulary for what actually happens during your workday, click the video on screen to learn how to complain about a stressful day in English. See you in the next lesson.